Hi everyone, my name is Marvin Schuler, and this is my sign name, and I am from Fire Department 75. Hi, and I'm Jeff Averin, and I'm from Fire Department. I work as an EMT, and it's Fire Department 40. And today we're going to show you a video because this year we weren't allowed to have a fire safety program. I used to bring fire trucks and the equipment to the school, and the kids would be so excited to watch. But instead, we're going to do this video so you could watch it virtually. And you can see all the things that we do, and you'll learn all about safety and different things like that. Right again. So there's some important information you need to know about 911. It's a good option to use 911 when there's an emergency, and it's the fastest way to get help. And it's the standard number to call all over the United States. It's a federal law that everyone has to have 911 available. So to call 911, you would actually pick up the phone, dial 911. Now, our cell phones that we have, if they're connected, you could use this emergency button to connect to 911. And once you click send, there will be an operator that answers the call. And I know it's tough for deaf people because we can't hear, but they've created a way to prioritize if there's an emergency. And texting works often, but sometimes it's not reliable, so you could try it. But the fastest way to get help would be to actually call. Now, when the operator answers, you should always give, number one, your name and your address, phone number, and what kind of emergency you're having. For example, if there's a fire, you should immediately say there's a fire. So then the operator will know to connect to the fire department. A lot of times it's always the police that arrive first, but it's helpful information for them to be more prepared about the emergency. So if the police arrive first and they see it's a fire, they're going to have to call, so it's a little bit of a delay. So it's better to give all that information up front when you're on the call to 911. And if you're really hurt and you need to go to the hospital, or you're severely sick and you can't move and there's nobody around to help you, you would dial 911. Another important feature for 911 is if you see a crime, something happening, somebody stealing something, or you don't feel safe, maybe there's no fire, but you're not hurt, but you still feel like there's something wrong, you can call 911 to have the police come. And if you see a problem, don't wait. Call 911 immediately. Especially, if there's a good reason, you won't get penalized for that. But don't fool around. Don't call. Make sure it's a serious situation when you call 911. The operator will try to be patient with you. They might not realize, that you can't hear. Oh, I forgot to add. I did want to say, you want to tell them that you're deaf, you can't hear. Maybe tell them to slow down. You can say, I need help. I see something. I see somebody hurt. And say your name. And make sure you slow down and you give them your address. You tell them where you are. And make sure it's slow. And you might have to repeat it a couple times so they know and they get the accurate information. The phone number you're calling from, they have, but that's okay. You don't want to hang up when you call 911. You leave it on so that they can track you. And it's important for them to hear background noises, and so they know what the environment is. Now, it's important to know 5 things in a fire. Number 1 is never play with matches or a lighter, or, with a candle. Don't play with that. That's very important to know, because that could start fires very easily. Second, you must have a plan. Talk to your family and know where you should escape when you have to leave the house, and go to a common area outside, like maybe the mailbox. That's where you would meet if you have to evacuate the house. Now, don't hide inside the house. It's important that, the family knows where you're supposed to meet, and the fire department knows that you're out there, and you don't want them to go in looking for you, and that's very dangerous for the firefighters. So make sure that you're outside and standing in a common area. Like I said, maybe by the mailbox, and wait for the fire trucks to arrive. Now, if you catch on fire, if your clothes are on fire, you want to stop, drop, and roll, okay? And anytime you see a fire inside or outside, or if you smell something burning, it's important that you leave and call 911. Again, 911 is only for emergencies. For a medical, fire, or police emergency, you use the same number, 911. And it's important, don't hang up, stay on the line, because maybe, you can't hear what they're saying, and you could just scream that you need help. And if you know where the address is, try to tell them that, but just don't hang up so that they can find you. So kitchen safety is also very important. And it's important to know, don't play in the kitchen either, because there's a lot of hazards in the kitchen, and fires often happen in the kitchen. So here's a few dangers that you might want to be aware of when you're in the kitchen. So when you see somebody cooking and the pot handle's hanging off the edge, that's dangerous, and you could run into it and it could fall and you could get burned. So if the handle is hot, you want to put an oven mitten on and turn the handle around so that you can't bump into it. Now, when you open the oven, it's hot too, so you don't want any children near it. You want the children to be at least 3 feet away. So when you're at home, don't play around near the oven, okay? If your parents are cooking and you see something, you can tell your parents, these different things are hot, right? So you got to make sure that you use an oven mitt, but don't put the oven mitt on top of the stove, because it could catch fire. And the lighters are not a toy. Do not play with them. They're very dangerous. Matches as well. Don't play with the matches. A lot of times kids will play with a lighter or something, and then the house will catch on fire, and then it burns down. You don't want that. So make sure you don't play with lighters or matches. Now here's a fire alarm. And if you see this go off, you have to leave the building. Don't hesitate. Immediately leave. And don't hide either. Don't go in the closet and hide because you're scared that there's a fire. Then if you do that, the firemen can't find you. They'll look all over for you and they won't know where you are. So don't hide. So if you see the lights going off, make sure you evacuate right away. You're going to feel the door. If you feel that it's hot, don't go that way. Go another way, maybe by a window, and scream for help. If you're low, that's fine, but if you're too high up, don't go. The firemen will find you, so just keep your head out the window so the firemen can find you. Okay, now if you feel the door and it's cold, you can open the door. You make sure it feels cold. You can open the door. Okay? Once it feels cold, you open the door, and now make sure you check around and see if there's any fire anywhere. And figure out where's the nearest escape route or exit. So look both ways. Whatever's the shortest way. So I'm looking to the right, to the left, and I'm going to pick the shortest route, and I'm going to keep feeling the wall. Now you don't want to stand up because there's going to be smoke around and you won't be able to breathe, and it'll cause you to cough. So make sure you stay low to the ground. Now, if there's another person with you, maybe a sibling or your parents, you want them to grab onto your ankle, and so they follow you. So you're going to stay together and keep safe that way, and keep crawling and stay low to the ground. So now I want to show you a couple of things that are on the truck, some different tools that we use, equipment that we use. So if there's a tree in the way and we need to get through because there's an emergency, we would use this chainsaw. Another piece of equipment, this is called a K12 saw. So this will open anything, metal or a door or something. And it's gas powered. And over here, these are bolt cutters. So we use these for emergencies if we need to pry something open. And here's a water rescue, life jackets and ropes. If you're in the river or something, we would throw out this type of equipment. I would attach it to myself and swim out and grab the victim. We have shovels and axes and all kinds of different types of tools. We have lights. And this is our hoses that we connect to the fire hydrants. That goes pretty far. It's about 500 feet. And we have a ladder in here. If there's a car accident, and we need to have a special tools to use, and this is what we call a crib, so that we steady the car so it doesn't fall down on somebody and hurt them. So they build the blocks up. And here's what we have. It's called a pike pole. So if you can't reach something, you would use that to try to pull something down or break a window. There's different sizes. There's 6 feet, there's 7 feet. So if there's an accident, here's more tools that we would use for car accidents. This is a spreader to maybe open the door. And it's really, really heavy. Here's some grinder drills, more different tools, water cans, water bottles, fire extinguishers. This is a hook, so if a car is like down a hill or something, we would hook it and try to pull it back up. So the fire truck that I have, it's called a tender truck. So if you're out in the country and there's no fire hydrants close by, you would use this. It's a portable tank, and you would fill it up with water. So the portable tank would be there, and then the water would fill it up. We would fill it up with this, and then once that is empty, the tank will refill until this is empty. It has a sensor that tells you when the fire truck tank is empty. So we'll fill up the portable tank. There's 3 sides on the truck. So you could do it from either side, fill it up. Either you back up, fill it up on this way or on to the side, so depending on the area that you need it. So there's 3 different ways. You know, if it's a farmland or there's hills or whatever, you'll be able to, you know, fill it up where it's necessary, and we'll get more tender trucks to come in to fill up water if we need it. Last year we had a fire out in the country. It was a huge house, and it took 15 minutes to fill up the water in the portable tank. And it's a lot of work. We had a lot of trucks coming in and out. It was a really tough job. Now here are the different pumps, and we have different size hoses. We have small ones, big ones, different gauges. So remember Jeff was explaining about the hose and the fire hydrants that we connect to. We use this panel to control it. So here are the different size hoses we have. We have 2.5. So the power control is here. So it's color coded. So you follow which color hose you're using, and then you coordinate that with the panel. So then you have the gauges here. It shows you how much power you have, if you need more pressure. You know, sometimes you don't want to have too much pressure if it's a smaller house or whatever. So you can control it this way. We might have 2 trucks and they connect to each other to have more power, to have the pressure force out more water. And then with this gauge and this light here, that shows how much water we have left in the truck. And if it's empty, we'll have to get another truck to come in and fill up the tank. And it's just the cycle that we follow so that we continuously have water pumping through to fight the fires. You know, there's different hydrants and there's different sizes of the gauge. So this will connect to the fire truck. and this is an adapter. There's different adapters depending on how big you need and depending on where you are. Some towns have different ones, some don't have them, so we have these adapters to fit onto the hydrant. In towns, they do have fire hydrants, but in countries where there's farmlands and there's big houses, they don't have a hydrant. So then that's when we would use that portable tank to fill up and try to fight the fire that way, and that's a lot of work. So I'm going to demonstrate what we do every time a fire, we get a call. The different things that we have to do. We have to put our hood on. Make sure we get our seatbelt on. And then before we go in, we have to put our masks on. And this helps us breathe. So this is a fire extinguisher, and this is filled with water. So if you have a small fire, maybe it's in the grass or something small, you could use this. You don't want to do that if you have a big fire. You want to try to get as far away as possible. And it better be safe than sorry. So if it's small, you could do something like this. If it's big, you're going to run and call 911. So like I said, this is water and has a little meter here. And if it's green, it means there's enough water in there. So you see the indicator shows green. If it's red, it's indicating that you might be empty and it's not really good to use this one. So here, this is what we call pass. It's pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep. So that's what we have to do. So here, you pull the pin out. And then you're going to aim at the fire. And you're going to squeeze the lever. And then sweep back and forth, side to side. You're going to hold it and move side to side to try to get the fire out. Now, like I said, if it's a big fire, don't try to tackle it with this little extinguisher. It's just for something very small and manageable. And you don't want to get too close either. You want to stay far enough away. So, the fire might be over here in this area, and you're going to be back there trying to extinguish it with the water. You want to be about 10 feet away from the fire. You don't want to get too close because that's dangerous, and you could catch on fire yourself. So keep some distance. And then once you start feeling the air coming like through and the pressure is getting less and less, then you know that the tank is empty. So again, once you see a fire alarm, it's very serious. You hear the alarm, take it seriously. And when you're at school, what we do, we line up calmly. Don't be scared or panicked. And think about, oh, this isn't really happening because our alarms are always going off, but it doesn't matter. If it goes off, take it seriously, and you're going to follow the school's plan, follow the staff, calmly walk outside. Don't hide or run into the bathroom, because if we can't find you, if there's a real fire, that's not good. It's dangerous. So make sure you have respect for the fire alarm and take it seriously and evacuate the building. So this is a ladder truck. I wanted to show you an example of a ladder truck. So you see the ladder is attached to the truck. Another important tool that the firemen use often is this Halligan AXE. So the axe is used to chop something, and then this is to use to pry or pull something open, cars or different buildings. So like Marvin was explaining, this is how we attach it to the fire truck, and then we attach it to the fire hydrant. We need to get water and to fight the fire, so we attach it to the hydrant. A lot of times you'll see them on the street, and they're for the firefighters to use. So we connect it to the fire truck. And then we have the different adapters that Marvin was explaining about that we might have to use. So we would connect the hose onto the adapter. Make sure it's tight, and then we can open the hydrant. And then you see how the water's starting to come out now, right? And the water's going directly into the truck. You see that? So it's filling the truck up with water. And you can see it's a lot of pressure going on there with all the lights on. So then once we're done, we want to turn everything off. Make sure it's nice and tight. Now, I wanted to share my experience with a house fire. It was in April of 2019. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. I was sleeping, and I got a call, and I had to go to the firehouse, jump in the truck, and I could see and smell the smoke and the fire as we were approaching. I'm going to show you some of my pictures. So we got to the scene, and it was so hectic, and it was a lot of work. I was there from 4 o'clock in the morning to about 3 o'clock in the afternoon the next day, and I was so exhausted by the end of the day. But I wanted to share some of the pictures of that experience. So once the house, the fire was over, you'll see how it really destroyed the house. I'll show you. I'm standing in the middle of the house, so you see it's not much left there. And my fire school was in Warren County. I went to the fire academy in Warren County, and we did a drill with a car fire. So here's another picture of what I was practicing, and I was standing right by the car, and we were trying to open the car door. So this is an example, and I was part of the drill here. So we had the tender trucks there, and we had to go through to where the hydrant was, and we filled the tender truck up with water. And we have to fill it up because if something happens, we get a call or whatever, or maybe there's a person's home and they want their pool filled up. We do that for free. So we go to people's houses and fill up their pools. So I'll show you a picture of that too. And then we fill it up, and then the truck is empty. We have to go back to the hydrant, fill the truck back up, and then go back to fill up the pool. And if we have to go for more, we will go fill the truck up again. And then once the people are satisfied with it, then we're done. And then we go fill it up again in case there's another fire and we have a call, or, and you know, maybe another home wants their pool filled up. But here's an example of that. So they're filling up the truck, and then the truck goes to the person's home and fills up their pool. Now, for me as a deaf person, how do I get notified if there's a call? I have a pager. And there's two options. It could vibrate or it can sound an alarm. That's a radio call, and they can talk through and they'll say, you know, Firehouse 75 is, you know, there's a house fire, we have to go to this call, or there's a car accident or whatever. So once you know, I always sleep with my pager right next to me. So I go to sleep, and if it vibrates, I wake up, and then the message comes to my cell phone. It's a text message, will pop up and tell me where it is. And I can respond, or I could say I'm not available. You know, if I'm working at Katzenbach, I will put I'm not available for the fire call. But if I'm home and I'm just around the house and I get a call, then I respond and I'll go and I'll say that I'm on my way to the firehouse and get my gear on and get to the scene. So thank you for watching.